Hey guys, it's Sid with SVT Performance, and we're still at National Parts Depot in Ocala, Florida. Those guys are kind enough to just let us hang around all day and shoot this entire private car collection that the owners have. It's absolutely amazing, and I just want to take you guys through this section. I mean, there's just so much stuff. Huge warehouse. This is the shop area. We covered that in another video. If you want to, you can check that out. Best way to make sure you don't miss stuff like that is subscribe, because where else you're going to see a Celine Ranger like this. But we got that covered in another video. The link's in the description below. Go over to SVTPerformance.com, where we have everything in this series, from going through the parts and all that to the rest of the collection. You're talking 200 plus cars, including that beautiful Ford GT over there. Go ahead and hit the link in the description below to go over to SVTP to see all that stuff. But let's get started down through here. Another Trans Am, got a Quadrajet, doing a little bit of work on it. So this is the area where they're working on things. Another Lincoln, another Trans Am up on the lifts. This one's getting a little bit of a tune-up. This one's getting a little bit more than a tune-up, old Caddy. And this one's getting even more than that, Monte Carlo. They don't typically do full restorations here, but I think this is going to be pretty close to a full restoration on this car. Looks like it just came back from paint. Let's start on this side. Check out this beautiful Ford F1 truck. I really like how they used to put the seal plates in. And it looks like this one might have came with a inline 6 originally, but not anymore. She's got a Windsor under the hood. This is not typical for the collection here at NPD, so this might actually be one of the employees' cars or something like that, but that's pretty neat. You're going to start seeing more Corvettes in the collection. ZR1, they got kind of on a buying kick, I think, because there's 2 or 3 different ZR1s in here, and I love these cars. Engines made by Mercury Marine. Every light he loves. A Buick Grand National, GNX, just absolutely wonderful looking car. Looks like it's basically no miles. Super clean. A Pontiac Suntour, I have no idea what that is. A Pontiac Fiero, I can't believe it's sitting here and it's not on fire, burning down this Thunderbird Super Coupe beside it. Supercharged 3.8 liter V6. This is sort of getting into the stuff that I know a little bit more about my era of cars when I was growing up. This one actually has manual transmission. Might be able to see through the sunroof there. Don't remember ever seeing manual transmissions in these things on the road, and somehow they managed to snag one in the wrapper. 0 mile car, crazy. Another Pontiac, I think this is like a something anniversary. Couple Trans Ams. This one's a turbo, not sure what that one is. Thunderbird Super Coupe. I'm going to go a little bit more in detail on this car later, but there's something definitely weird and special going on with this that I had never noticed and didn't really know about, but I'll cover that in another video. If you want to see that, subscribe to the channel. It's special car. A Chrysler Maserati. I know they made these. I've seen them before. This is probably the cleanest example you're ever going to find of one, because I think all these cars basically fell apart. But manual transmission in a Chrysler K car with really nice leather seats in it and everything, and Maserati did the styling on it. If you like Chryslers, I know a lot of people are suckers for these Dodge Stealths. They got 2 of those, the twin turbo engines. I kind of preferred the 3000 GT over the Stealth version, but you know, to each their own. Another ZR1, it looks great in white. And is this red one a ZR1? Nope, this is just a regular Corvette. If you want to know how to spot the differences really quickly, ZR1 will have more like the shark fin louvers instead of the red one, which is a regular Corvette. But the really quick way to spot the difference is the taillight. ZR1s are square, and these are sort of round. So, easier way to spot the difference. Another manual transmission. I know there's a lot of suckers out there for these C4s. These things are going up in price now. I'm going to cover this one in another video, just individually. And if you guys would like to know any more about any of these particular vehicles on an individual basis, let me know. Post it up over on SVTPerformance.com from that link in the description below, and we'll get into that kind of stuff. I am probably going to end up buying one of these Mark 7 Lincolns. It's on the Fox platform, and this one's got some crazy stuff done to it. They just managed to find somebody selling this thing. There's a weird story behind it, a very cool story, and I want to show you guys what's under the hood, but that'll be another video. Impala. Is that an Impala or is it just a Caprice? Yep, it's an Impala. It's got the badge on the back. Sometimes it's tough to tell, especially in this color. If it's black, you can almost guarantee it that it's an Impala. Eldorado. Thunderbird. I think this one's a V8 car. Then we start getting into some of the more oddball things, because they've managed to snag prototype concept cars, whatever you want to call them, from several manufacturers. This is a Ford Ka. These were sold in Europe, but this is a car show only special that the designers put together. This thing is wild inside. Looks like it's got hydro dipped. I mean, I guess that could be paint made to look like rusty metal, but. And then a Lincoln, I mean not a Lincoln, a Mercury. I don't even know what this thing is called. What does it say? So it's my Mercury, okay. But I kind of miss the car companies doing stuff like this. They don't do these wild thought experiments that much anymore. I mean, car shows are basically a thing of the past anymore. This car definitely has a story to it. I'm thinking it's some kind of prototype Escort. And I like when the federal government sort of mandated these 5-mile-an-hour bumpers. They sort of made it a design cue, the accordion thing, so that's pretty neat. Thunderbirds, tons of Thunderbirds in the collection. I'm surprised these haven't become popular for people doing swaps. This would be perfect for a Coyote swap or something like that. I know that it's pretty tight under the hood, but you know, the Lincoln LS that was on this platform was available in a manual transmission. So if you could find one of those and snag the pedal box and everything, you could put a stick shift in one of these with a proper engine. Be pretty cool. XLR Cadillac, which is basically a Corvette with a Cadillac body just stuck around it. I really like the XLR V version. Earlier in another video, we showed Ford GT, which is designed by Camilo Pardo. He also designed this concept car for Mercury. And if it's a Mercury Milan, you can see there's Camilo signing the dash. Call it the Volga. And honestly, if Mercury had done more stuff like this, they might still be around as a brand, because this is a good looking car. Even today, this looks better than most of the stuff on the road. HRE wheels kind of help it. Got a Jag, another Cadillac, another Corvette. This one's a convertible. This one, Fairlane Victoria, not a Crown Victoria. We covered that in another video. And I'd really like to get this car next to the Crown Victoria and just see what makes one Crown worthy and one just a regular Victoria. Because I'm seeing a lot of the similar stuff, but I'm definitely noticed there's some trim that appears to be missing. This one, of course, doesn't have the glass roof, and the Crown Victoria did. If you guys missed that, it's on the channel in another part of this series. Thunderbird, when they started to grow a little bit, gonna have to have a few more Lincolns. These guys love their Lincoln Continentals. We've got some, if you guys like the 4-door variety, some of those on the other side here coming up. This one with a sort of rare black interior. Looks pretty daggone good too. Then if you're a fan of the big caddies, this one's probably got the 500 plus cubic inch V8 in it. Not bad. AMC Matador. Yeah, it is a Matador. With that AMC 360, I had a ton of these things growing up in the family because we had Jeep Grand Wagoneers, so it basically got the same engine. Horrible gas mileage out of that. And a funny thing, AMC, you look at this, it's hard to tell what's what on this, because everybody always said, what's AMC stand for? All manufacturers' components, basically. So it might have a Ford distributor and a GM carb, or vice versa, or who knows who's, you know, a Chrysler transmission. You never knew what you were going to get with AMC. Another Lincoln. This one is really nice inside. Check that out. Sort of a dark gray, I mean, almost silver. It's an interesting color. This would be really cool if it didn't have the vinyl top, at least to me. I like just the flat metal tops on these cars. Got a Mercedes, got the absolute best looking front end for a Mustang you can get. Love these things. You can see this one's been a driver. It's just come into the collection. And it's here as a sort of a reference point for all those parts they sell on the other side of this wall under this millions of square foot of building. I mean, this place is enormous. Four-door Lincoln, and then check this out. Were you expecting to see an Econoline van in the collection? I mean, maybe. If you've seen everything else through here, there's a little bit of everything. They actually bought this, restored it, and they take it to car shows. This is like when they're hauling their local booth out, or their booth out to their local car shows, and 10x10 canopy and all that kind of stuff. They just load this thing up, drive it down. So they live the classic car lifestyle. Speaking of lifestyle, there's your lifestyle vehicle. This is the original owner, the founder of National Parts Depot's RV. His family had this company, Pneumatics by Fabco Air, and they did the pneumatics that controlled the shark in Jaws. So if anybody's ever seen Jaws, see the shark? It was probably serviced out of this van. They would take this thing to movie sets and just service all those pneumatics for, you know, say like Johnny Five's hands or something. That was done out of this thing. So that's pretty cool that they kept this little piece of history and then ended up founding National Parts Depot, where you can get basically everything you need for your classic car. Speaking of classics, I think this next one is basically the most classic car I have ever seen. And it's definitely the most classic in the collection. Check this thing out. This is just one step above a horse being attached to the front. This is a car. This is truly the horseless carriage. You can see she's pretty simple, and apparently it's going to get restored. They're going to send these wheels off. You can send them to Amish country, and they still work on wagons because that's how they get around, and they will leather wrap these wheels and restore them to exactly like they were brand new. And I think this is a 1903 or something. I forget the exact name of it, but it's got this huge one-cylinder engine you can see tucked up in there. There's the spark plug. This thing is nuts. Check out that flywheel. It's just a massive piece of cast iron, so it's a big one lung, just bam, getting moved all by torque. Chain drive. Awesome, just ingenuity right here. Cool vehicle. Then get in a Mercedes, more Thunderbirds. I said you guys liked the four-door Lincolns, we'd show that. Suicide door Lincoln Continental, cool car. This one, as like I was talking about, does not have the vinyl wrapped roof. And I like that. I prefer the slick roof. I could even do without this trim on it. I kind of like just the sleeker appearance you'll get on some of these vehicles. Massive Cadillac here, land yacht, just awesome. Mustang GT. I know there's a story with this one. That'll have to come for another time. Speaking of story, everybody loves DeLoreans. Who doesn't love those cars? Studebaker. Don't see these everywhere anymore. Speaking of stuff you don't see everywhere, when's the last time you saw an ASC McLaren Mercury Capri? Another fantastic Fox body front end. I just love that 4-eye look on these cars with the flat wide body fenders, flat top, 5-liter V8 of course, convertible. You never see these things. So it's cool that they picked one up, put it in the collection. More Cadillac, classic Mustang. I'm sure there's a story with this one because I see a roll bar in the back. Oh yeah. This is a nice looking car. Set up to run. That's what I like. Camaro, F-body Camaro. This is pre-LS1, if you want to know how you can tell the difference. Pre-LS1, steel beam headlights. When they got the LS1s, they went to the more modern lens style headlights. SRT 10 Dodge. Don't see these all that often anymore. Of course, they didn't sell a ton of them. They sold way more of those. We'll get into that in a minute. But I always liked that these things came with a manual transmission. I appreciated that. F-150 Lightning, Gen 2, silver. Makes me homesick because this is what I have sitting in the garage. Still have my original 04. Love that truck. Great to see one of these here too. Something else you don't see a ton of. It's a Sierra, you know, square body Chevy. This is GMC, but square body. But this is the heavy half. So when's the last time you saw that sticker on a square body? So it's basically like the heavier duty suspension and stuff on the half-ton frame. Cadillac Fleetwood. This was sort of the last gasp for the big Cadillacs. They had shrunk some, but they were still pretty sizable. SSR. I still see a bunch of these around the house for some reason. Apparently they're popular in coastal South Carolina. Here's something else you don't really see much of anymore, is S10s. This was the ubiquitous vehicle when I was in high school. Like most of the guys had one of these, or they had the square body version. And you talk about something you really don't see is a square body. Those all got beat to death and rusted away. Here's in a row 3 concept cars that just were at car shows. I don't know why companies don't do this kind of stuff anymore. This is a Silverado, and it's supposed to be a lifestyle vehicle for motorcycles. And you can see you got your tire can hang out through the tailgate, and you can clip it in at the front for your dirt bike. This is a 99 Ranger, I think. And you can see they stole some of the stuff from this to go on the 2001 model when they switched the front end. I had a 2002 Ranger. I think it's 01 when they changed the front end. These headlights are very similar. That cut shape in the bed there, that sort of became the cap that they put on those trucks. This is a good looking color on this truck too. Kind of a weird front end. Super Duty, same deal. Look how similar this front end is to what eventually ended up on the 05 Super Duties. And then another thing that's really cool about these, you don't really ever see anymore, is they custom cut the tires. This is not something you're going to buy off the shelf. Neither is this. They actually had guys cutting these tires out for these concept vehicles. Panel van, beautiful Ford. If you ever want to know, this should have an inline 6 in it. The V8s would have a V8 here. The inline 6 had the little gear and lightning bolt. Do I need to say anything about a Cyclone? One of the not only best looking, but just best performing trucks ever. So simple. I mean, look at the GMCs now. Why can't they make something like this, especially Chevrolet? Just simple, beautiful, flat lines. It's classic. Speaking of classic Fords, you're going to see a lot of F100s. I like this front end. I really like these trucks. Beautiful. Another Mercury. I think, is this a Marauder? No. But anyway, there's some more Mercuries in the collection. I mean, it's crazy. K5 Blazer. My grandmother used to have one of these things. Beautiful. These have gone crazy up in value, as these have too. 454 SS's. Neighbor had one of these things growing up. Dogs, absolute dogs, especially the early ones. Later ones were a little bit better, but that like 100 and, I don't know, was 190 horsepower, 160 horsepower, whatever it was. The old peanut head throttle body injected big block. Not a great performer, but it's cool that GM put a big block in a half ton. Why doesn't Ford do that now with the 7.3, put it in F-150? I don't know. Ford, do it. Old brick nose F-150. We've got a couple El Caminos in Spanish. If you don't know, El Camino stands for the Camino. F-250 camper special. I like this. Nissan is the only other manufacturer I know that's done this in recent history. Put a little cubby hole to store your stuff in what is normally just dead space in a bedside. That's smart. Another older GM, another Ford F-100. Only Dodge truck in the collection. And you don't see tons of those. Those all rusted away. Older Chevrolet. And another Ford. Model A truck. Look at this thing. Beautiful. Beautiful wood floor. Might have to end up with a Model A at some point, just to ride up and down the road, go get ice cream, things like that. And we'll finish off with this Monte Carlo that's getting a complete restoration. Not too bad. You see the vinyl work has just been done on the roof, on the paintwork and everything. So we've got tons and tons of videos on the channel covering this collection now, and we're not done yet. So we're going to pull some of these cars out in the next little bit and cover them way more in depth. A few that I'm very interested in we're going to get to, and then we're also going to do the ones that you guys want to see. So if you want to pick out some of the stuff from any of these videos and have us go through and look at things much more closely, like a 10-minute video, just like, what is this Pontiac? I know it's SVT Performance. You don't want to know about the Pontiac. You want to know about this T-Bird up here, which I said is special earlier in the video. We're definitely going to dig into that, but if you want this really close look to see what was it like to get a brand new brick nose from the factory that still has the plastic on the seats, what does it smell like? You want me to stick my head in there and describe it to you? We done said on an earlier video we found a Fox body that smells like crayons inside, so you never know what we're going to find. But let me know. The link's in the description below to SVTPerformance.com, where we have all these videos and all our photos and content and everything from NPD curated. So post over there and let me know which one you'd like to see. I will personally answer you, and hopefully we can get to it. And if you want to be really lazy about it, put it in the comment section on YouTube. I might see it, I might not. I don't really keep up with the comment section that well. So if you definitely want to see it, definitely put it on SVTPerformance.com. That's where I will personally respond to you on stuff. And as always, I appreciate you guys watching this kind of stuff. To make sure you don't miss it, subscribe to the channel and all that other stuff that every other YouTuber says. It actually does work. I know I hate to have to run through and say that stuff, but it does mean a lot. It helps the channel grow, helps more people see our stuff, and it motivates us to come out and shoot all day in stuff like this. So if you would, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, the like button, and all that great stuff. And head over to SVT Performance to talk to me, talk to all the other guys over there, and we'll get some more videos shot for you, and we'll get all the latest news, reviews, and information for you over there on SVTPerformance.com. See you next time, guys.